Right now, I'm challenging myself to see if I can make 128 Regulation H teams that are each different from one another over the course of 128 days. Why 128, you might ask? At the end of the 128 days, we're going to do something special where we battle every team against each other in a single elimination bracket to see which team emerges on top. There will be some competitively strong teams, there will be some gimmick teams, and there will be some probably a good number of goofs and gaffs in there, so if you want to follow through to the end, subscribe so that you can keep up with each day. But without further ado, let's move on to day 26. Alright everybody, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going to be going over the first lilli-koal team on the channel that has been somewhat rushed because I just wanted to make a lilli-koal team, and this probably isn't the best lilli-koal team that I can make right now, but it's a lilli-koal team, and for that fact alone I am proud of it. Our lilli-koal team doesn't actually start with lilli-koal, so let's just talk about Porygon 2 right now. Porygon 2 is really good because it's not a fully evolved Pokemon, which means that it can hold the Eviolite, which will buff its defense and special defense by 1.5, and that's where we're putting all of our defense and special defense EVs, as we do have a little bit in special attack, as we're going to be using the Bolt Beam Porygon 2, but we're also going to have Recover to give us a lot of staying power, and we're going to have the Trick Room option, as it's good to have Trick Room option whenever you're running lilli-koal, just so you can threaten the possibility of setting up Trick Room, and then you don't even need the lilligant part of torkoal anymore. And with the download ability, it gives us a pretty decent chance to get a free special attack boost for our Ice Beam and our Thunderbolt, but if we get the attack boost, it's not the end of the world. And we're using a Terra type of flying because it makes us immune to ground type moves, but it also resists fighting, which we were previously weak to. Next up, we have Ursaluna, and this is a pretty standard Ursaluna set, as we're going to be clicking our Facade whenever we have our Guts activated by our Flame Orb, and we have the Earthquake to do a lot of good stab spread damage, and we have the Swords Dance to even further boost our damage, which we can afford to have boosting moves on this Ursaluna, since we're either going to be hopefully getting Trick Room up, or we're going to be using Lilligant, who's super fast and has the ability to enable Ursaluna to hit things before other Pokemon. Finally, we can now talk about torkoal, as torkoal is a pretty standard torkoal, I believe. We're going to be using Eruption to be doing massive fire-type damage, as this is the main part of lilli-koal, is that we get torkoal to move super fast because of lilligant, and we also have the Heat Wave for just in case we can't safely go for the Eruption, or the Eruption isn't going to do too much damage, and then we have Earth Power for beating other torkoals who may be using the same strategy, and we just have the Protect to save us a turn in case there's a fake out user on the field. And with Terra Fire, we can guarantee that we're doing as much fire type damage with our Eruption as physically possible, and Drought is the reason that you're running torkoal because it sets up your sun, and Life Orb is a nice item to have because it gives you a 1.3 times boost. Even though Charcoal is also good, I preferred to have the boost on the damage on Earth Power, as it gives you a more guaranteed way to just take out an enemy torkoal or deal enough good ground type damage. Even though it does hurt you a little bit, it's not super ideal, but it's what we're going with right now. Next up, we have Hisuian Lilligant, who is going to have the Chlorophyll ability that inside of Torkoal's Sun means our speed is doubled, and Hisuian Lilligant is already very fast, so he can be super extra fast. And this Hisuian Lilligant set is a little bit stolen from a recent tournament that happened over on Victory Road, where we're going to be using Triple Axle because it allows us to take down Pelipper's with Focus Sashes a little bit easier, and we have the Close Combat for dealing good stab fighting type damage, and I couldn't really fit on the Grass type damage on Lilligant, but usually the Grass type damage is pretty mediocre, as it requires you to have Sun Up to go for like Solar Blade, or the Leaf Blade just isn't doing enough damage, and with Triple Axle instead of Leaf Blade, you can get rid of Focus Sashes a little bit easier. And Hisuian Lilligant is going to be using After You, which enables the Pokemon that you click it into to immediately move, so we can use this on our slower Pokemon to have them be as fast as Hisuian Lilligant, like Torkoal and Ursaluna, who can do a lot of damage but will take hits because we don't have Trick Room up. We can just use Hisuian Lilligant After You. And the Sleep Powder is also good to have on Hisuian Lilligant, as since we're going to be super fast, we can just put things to sleep that we don't want to be awake. And I decided to use Clear Amulet on this Hisuian Lilligant because I didn't want to get intimidated, so that way I can pressure Incineroars a little bit easier, but also so that we're not getting our speed stat dropped by things like Icy Wind or Electro Web. And we have Terra Ghost, so we're not getting faked out. Next up, we have Kamo-O, who is a pretty good Sun Pokemon, as we are doing the Clanging Scales and Clangorous Soul set again, which
allows you to deal massive dragon-type damage and to boost all of your stats at the cost of 1/3 of your health. But this time we're going to be running Throat Spray because I more value just an offense combo rather than the previous defense combo. And to synergize a little bit more with our sun, we have the Terrifier Flamethrower, which will do massive damage in the sun, especially once we get off our Throat Spray, which can activate whenever we use both Clanging Scales and Clangorous Soul, since those are both sound-type moves. And just in case you need a refresher on what Throat Spray... Actually, I don't know if I've used Throat Spray yet. But just in case you need to know what Throat Spray does, it will give you a special attack boost whenever you use a sound-type move, but just once. And it was difficult for me to pick one of Kamo's abilities. However, this time around I went with Soundproof, as it will make us immune to things like Snarl, and there's some Boom Burst running around, and also Parting Shots are kind of annoying whenever you want to be boosting your special attack, so being soundproof to all of those is very nice. And lastly, I decided to slot in Morpeko here, because Morpeko has some pretty niche tech things that can help us out with the lilli-koal stuff, as we have the Aura Wheel, which will increase our speed whenever we use it, but it also changes type every turn, so we can use it for an electric type move in case there's something like a Pelipper, or wants to be something like a Pelipper on the field. We can use an electric type move into it, but also we can wait a turn and change into a dark type to deal damage into Pokemon that are weak to dark type moves. So it's a little risky, but also I think Morpeko helps out this team a little bit more with its other moves, in the fact that we have a really nice fast Parting Shot to decrease the damage of opposing Pokemon if we want to get something set up like Porygon's Trick Room, or Ursaluna's Swords Dance, or Kamo-O's Clanging Scales with the Throat Spray. We can use the Parting Shot to decrease the damage on the field a little bit more, and the Super Fang is super nice for making it so that we can 2-KO a lot of Pokemon in the format, as we can just cut their health down by half with Morpeko. And I decided to give Morpeko the Focus Sash because Morpeko is super duper frail. I mean, we kind of had to put all of our stats into speed in order to get Morpeko to at least, like, reasonably be outspeeding things, and we can super outspeed things once we get off our first Aura Wheel. So as long as we get off that first Aura Wheel and we don't get doubled, meaning that our Focus Sash will be put to good use, then Morpeko's, like, pretty good to do some good disruption. But yeah, that's the basis of the team. Let's get into some battles.
So for my first test battle, I ended up actually running up against the lilli-koal Mirror, which I thought was pretty interesting, as they have the Slowking for setting up their Trick Room, and also Farigiraf instead of our Porygon Z, and they have the different version of the Bear than we do, and they have Kingambit, and we have Morpeko. So the battle's going to start off, and they're going to lead Kingambit and Ursaluna, and I decided to lead Lilligant and my Ursaluna, and they immediately Terra Fairy their Kingambit so that they don't take the close combat, but I close combated into Ursaluna, and the Ursaluna is just going to flat out decide to Blood Moon into Lilligant, which takes it on one hit as the Kingambit gets up the Swords Dance, so not a great turn one for us, even though we got good damage on the Ursaluna. Kamo is just going to protect here, and they Sucker Punch into Ursaluna, and they go for the Hyper Voice with their Ursaluna, and that gives them their Throat Spray, but we get the Earthquake off, which does enough to KO their Ursaluna, and a good amount of damage into their Kingambit, but we take the Burn chip, which is a little unfortunate, as now it's Torkoal and Kingambit, whatever they have in the back, versus our Kamo and Torkoal, and I decided that we need to get up our Clangorous Soul in order to win this game, hoping that they would kind of fear me going for the Flamethrower into Kingambit, because I feel like that would just KO, but they just decided to full-on Eruption with their Torkoal, which is going to do a good amount of chip into our Kamo, as they Sucker Punch into Kamo, which we live it, but this time we go for the Flamethrower, and we get to take out Kingambit, and Torkoal is faster than their Torkoal, but my Torkoal is mid-speed Torkoal, so we're actually speed tying Torkoals, as they reveal that they just have Lilligant in the back, and they after you to Torkoal into the Heat Wave, which I feel like Kamo would have lived, so that might be a bit of a misplay on their part, as close combat into Kamo probably would have KO'd it, and then they could just use Lilligant to get rid of my Torkoal if I KO'd their Torkoal, but I mean, they win the game either way. So here I had to figure out what to do for the adjustment, and I'm thinking that the main thing that I messed up on last game was just not leading Kamo. So I decided to lead Kamo in this game, and they decided to lead Lilligant Torkoal, which I'm pretty okay with, and also we're going to have Morpeko around this time, hopefully doing some stuff. We protect Kamo, because I thought it was going to get targeted into, and they do target into Kamo, but I tried to Super Fang the Torkoal in order to make it so that it can't reliably get off good eruption damage, and they decide to swap in Kingambit as they Sleep Powder into Kamo, and we do get the Super Fang into Kingambit, which is at least nice to do some half damage into that as Morpeko changes his form again, and Morpeko's gonna protect this turn, as I thought there was going to be a close combat going out into it, and then maybe a Sucker Punch in order to double it down, but Kingambit actually decides to go for the Swords Dance there, as Lilligant is finally going to get the close combat into Morpeko, and Morpeko is going to parting shot the Lilligant to make it so that I can do less damage in future turns, and we get to bring in our own Lilligant as Kamo wakes up and gets to go for the flamethrower into Kingambit, KOing it in one hit. And they can bring in their own torkoal, and they Terrafire their torkoal, but I get to after you with my Kamo because my Lilligant is faster, kind of a gamble we were taking there. And they just decide to sleep powder with their Lilligant and go for the Terrafire Heatwave as that KOs our Lilligant. So Kamo is going to spend some more time asleep, but now we get to bring in torkoal here, and I decide to swap in Morpeko as we don't really need Morpeko for anything else anymore, as Lilligant just close combats into it, and also the defense drop on Kamo was going to mean that Kamo was probably going to get KO'd. We get to bring back in Kamo, and they after you torkoal into a Heat Wave, which does pretty good damage to both, but my torkoal is able to Earth Power their torkoal, so we get to take their torkoal off the field as we take a little bit of Life Orb damage, and they bring in Ursaluna here, but my Kamo wakes up, and we're just going to go for Protect, as they after you the Blood Moon into Kamo, which is good because we caught that. And we get to Heat Wave into both, and we get the crit on Ursaluna, but the crit wouldn't have mattered because Kamo would have just been able to KO Ursaluna now that Lilligant was dead. And lastly, I'm not quite sure what I was expecting as an adjustment for them. They did lead Slowking, which I guess I should have kind of predicted. Kind of predicted it by leading Lilligant, but we're going to bring Porygon to this game, as I want to get Kamo set up as fast as possible with the Clangrissel. So that's what we do, as Kingambit goes for its Sword Stance, and Slowking tries to Scald into Lilligant, perhaps just to get a burn into it. We get to Flamethrower Kamo for about a pretty good amount of damage outside of Sun, as they Kowtow Cleave into us for pretty good damage, and Slowking gets up the Trick Room, which allows them to swap into Blood Moon Ursaluna, and they Kowtow into Kamo, but that doesn't quite KO it, as we get to Thunderbolt and Flamethrower into Kingambit, and that takes care of that, and now it's Farigiraf revealed to be their last Pokemon, as they try to Blood Moon into Porygon 2, but we're Eviolite, so we don't take too much damage from it, as the Ice Beam does just enough damage to KO, to 2-hit KO Ursaluna, but they Hyper Voice, but we're soundproof, so we're going to take spread damage, but that doesn't matter too much in a sec. We do underspeed the Giraffe, which is nice, as we get to KO Ursaluna, but the Dazzling Gleam is going to KO both of our Mons here. And now it is Slowking and Farigiraf versus Morpeko and Lilligant, as they Scald into Lilligant, and Lilligant is unfortunately going to take the Psychic, but we get to Aura Wheel into Slowking, and that's going to deal super effective damage into it, increasing our speed, and then our Hunger Switch is going to swap, and now we can Aura Wheel into Farigiraf, now that it's super effective. Farigiraf does have a Citrus Berry, and it does have Dazzling Gleam, and Dazzling Gleam is going to be a 2-hit KO, but we can just protect out the Farigiraf, since the Farigiraf doesn't have Protect itself, and that'll activate our Hunger Switch again, so that we can get this super effective Aura Wheel into Farigiraf, and that is going to wrap up the game. So yeah, I didn't mention it before, but when I was designing this team, I did kind of have the opposing lilli-koal game in mind, which is kind of why I brought Kamo out. But it was nice this game to get some use out of Morpeko with the Focus Sashes. Ooh, okay, here we have Pelipper Rain with Mouse Hold. Okay. Their Mouse Hold is Focus Sash, but their Pelipper's Rocky Helmet. Also, their Annihilate is Terra Fire, which means we can't after you Eruption into it. This is pretty tricky. I think what I have to do is, I think we're going to lead Ursaluna and Lilligant here, and then have torkoal and, I guess, Porygon in the back. Okay, they lead Mousehold, Annihilate, and we let Ursaluna, Hisuian, and Lilligant. So we could just go for the Earthquake here, as I don't really think they have an opportunity to break Ursaluna. I mean, they could break Lilligant, because the Mousehold is probably faster than Lilligant outside of the sun. So what if we just go for the Earthquake and we close... Go for the Earthquake and... I mean, the mouse has got to follow me if they don't want to Annihilate falling to sleep. So let's go for the Sleep Powder. Okay, they do redirect with Mousehold. And Annihilate goes for the Bulk Up. Okay. Well, we get to Earthquake both. That does enough damage in the Mousehold that we can KO it next turn. And we get the Guts. So they can't Terra out of this. We might as well just Earthquake again and then Sleep Powder into the Annihilate, and hopefully we land the Sleep Powder would be ideal. They decide to swap in Rillaboom, and do they protect? Yeah, they protect the Monkey. Earthquake, and that does less damage because we're currently on grassy terrain. That's the secret thing about grassy terrain. I mean, we can protect, and we could triple axle the Rillaboom. They might just fake out into Lilligant, and then Rage Fist into Lilligant in order to take it out. But if that happens, then I'm fine bringing in Porygon 2 for the Trick Room endgame, I think. So let's protect and triple Axel Rillaboom, and we'll see what happens. Okay, they do fake out Lilligant, and okay, they Drain Punch into Lilligant. Well, that stinks. Let's bring in P2 here, and we do get the special attack boost, which is nice. I think I have to swap in Torkoal to save Ursaluna, and let's go for the Trick Room. They do Drain Punch into Torkoal, but Torkoal's pretty physically bulky as they knock off P2, and now they have a Trick Room. So we could just Earth Power into Annihilate, because that covers for the Terra. I feel like they should always Terra here, since they have Rillaboom on the field currently. So let's Earth Power and Thunderbolt the slot, and hopefully that KOs it. They swap in Pelipper here. Oh, they don't Terra. Oh, that stinks. Thunderbolt, Annihilate at least for good damage, and Annihilate, just Rage Fist into Torkoal. Okay. Pelipper's not Sash. I think they're just gonna Drain Punch Porygon 2 and then attack with Pelipper. Does Pelipper have Wide Guard? No, it doesn't have Wide Guard. We could just protect and then Thunderbolt Pelipper here. Okay, Mouse Hold swaps in, and okay, Annihilate protects, so it'll at least gain a little bit of the Mouse Hold didn't die, but the Mouse Hold hasn't spent its turns asleep yet, so it's gonna get that Friend Guard for Annihilate though, which is pretty annoying. I think we've got to use the Earthquake and then hope that they attack into Annihilate and hope that the Thunderbolt is enough, because once we Terra Flying, they'll be able to hit Porygon 2 with the Rage Fist. Earthquake is going to hit Annihilate, which means Friend Guard goes away. We're so close to KOing it, but they Drain Punched into our Flying type, which is good. That's what we wanted. We're going to be out of Trick Room, though, next turn. Because here they bring in Rillaboom, and they can threaten to fake out into whatever they want as they protect. I mean, they still... I think it benefits most to attack with Ursaluna here, and just Ice Beam into Annihilate in case they don't. Okay. Oh, they actually Grassy Glided into Ursaluna, which I think I'm fine with. Because they can't Drain Punch Ursaluna because it doesn't have enough health left to live, probably, with Porygon 2. I think Porygon 2 can take the Pelipper. So we just have to double the Annihilate here with the Earthquake and the Thunderbolt. Okay, they oh, actually I read that turn completely wrong. Yeah, they're still... forgot we were outside of Trick Room. Okay. Okay, so Pelipper was a problem. Big problem last game. What if we make Pelipper not a big problem? Not exactly sure how we do that. I think we lead Porygon 2 and... I guess Lilligant again? And then hopefully Ursaluna and... who in the back, though? I guess Kamo in the back? Or maybe Morpeko in the back, because it has the Sash. And can Super Fang things. Let's do Morpeko in the back, because Morpeko in the back helps us cover for Pelipper. Okay, this time they lead Incineroar and Rillaboom, so they can fake out both slots here, which is admittedly not great. Porygon 2 has a special attack boost right now, though. So what if we... if Incineroar is faster than Rillaboom, it gets to fake out, or it gets to knock off Porygon. I think I should just kind of read that they're going to double into Porygon this turn, and maybe sack Morpeko. Incineroar is Goggles. I wonder how much damage Triple Axel does into Rillaboom. Let's do that. I do fake out Morpeko, and we get the Triple Axel into Rillaboom, and not quite enough to KO, but it does good damage into it as a Parting Shot Morpeko. I think I'm currently fine with that, as they bring in Mouse Hold here, and they could just swap in Annihilate and then get off the beat up. I'm not super afraid of that, I don't think. So we can double the Mouse, and that will get rid of its Friend Guard for Annihilate later. Okay, they swap back in Incineroar. And, oh, the Mouse Hold Encored, so we Triple Axel. We don't even get to Triple Axel the Mouse! Man. Okay, we Aura Wheeled the Mouse Hold, so we at least gain some ground there. We could Super Fang the Incineroar. We should be faster than Lilligant right now. Let's actually Super Fang the Mouse and Triple Axel the Mouse. So that might bring it low enough to where we can Triple Axel them. They Super Fang back into us, and as long as our Triple Axels land, we get to KO a Mouse Hold, which is at least is nice. They Flare Blitz into Lilligant though, so it's gonna take Incineroar down some HP. Everybody's gonna regain health while around grassy terrain. Let's bring back in Porygon 2. And what do they... Okay, now they bring in Annihilate. We get an attack boost this time. I mean, the Annihilate hasn't been hit with its Rage Fist stuff yet, so we could just Terra Porygon 2 here, and it depends on how long it takes for us to get rid of Annihilate. Let's just Super Fang Incineroar, and then Thunder... they might swap in Rillaboom here, actually. Let's... Super Fang is gonna do nothing there. I don't need more Pico anymore, though. Let's Super Fang Incineroar and Thunderbolt here. Oh, they Terrafire Annihilate. Okay. So they bulk up with Annihilate, and they knock off P2. And we Thunderbolt Incineroar. We get the Para. The Para isn't helping us out super much here, as we're still Volt switching. And they're gonna get to bring in Rillaboom on the last turn of Grassy Terrain now. I think I'm just gonna hope Aura Wheel does good damage into Incineroar, and we're gonna Ice Beam in case they swap in Rillaboom for whatever reason. So we Aura Wheel Incineroar, and they bulk up Annihilate. And that takes out Incineroar, but now they're gonna get to come back with enough turns of Grassy Terrain since we didn't kill Incineroar. Rillaboom is gonna get to set up its Grassy Glide. Or Grassy Terrain, and it can just fake out more Pekko, and they probably just Drain Punch into Porygon 2, now they have enough damage to do that. Oh, they are Fire type now. We can super... Wait, hold on. Let's protect more Pekko this turn, and Trick Room with Porygon 2, just in case we get off the Trick Room. They do fake out, and what does Annihilate do? Okay, they do Drain Punch Porygon 2 for all of its health. And now we Hunger Switch, and we get to bring in Ursaluna here. And they have to call what we're gonna do on Ursaluna, because we can just be immune to one of their attacks. We don't need more Pico anymore. Let's Super Fang into Annihilate. Annihilate can just protect though. I think I'm just gonna try and call that they called Terra. They did not call Terra, did they? Alright. Wait, no, they Drain Punched into more Pekko actually, and got all their health back. Okay, well now we can stall. Oh, they're we're protecting back and forth. They just protected here. They want to see if we can call the Terra or not. The only thing that gets us out of this game, I think, is a crit Earthquake. I'm going to protect again, though. I want to see what move they're going to do. Ah, they're just bulk upping with Annihilate again. I mean, at this point, I don't think it changes anything with the bulk up. Should I protect again, thinking that they might protect, just to see if they read the Terra or not? Let's just click Facade into Annihilate and see if they... What did they do? Ah, they didn't read the Terra. Oh, well... That was a hard team to beat with Sun because they have so much rain and Mouse Ape and stuff. Okay, here we have another rain team, and this time they have Goldango and Primarina, which are a little bit harder to beat. Let's use Morpeko in the front, and we're gonna have... Who else? I guess Kamo is nice, and let's include Porygon 2 for the Trick Room, and let's just have Ursaluna since it beats a lot of things. Okay, they led Arcaldon and Incineroar, so if they're gonna pressure Fake Out, then Arcaldon is Dragon Pulse. I'm not sure who it's better for them to Fake Out here. I think I'm just gonna Super Fang into Arcaldon with Morpeko and protect Kamo. And they do Fake Out Kamo, which is good. We get the Super Fang into Arcaldon, which gives it the defense boost, and they Dragon Pulse into Kamo, which is good. Now we're Aura Wheeled into being dark. We can Super Fang Incineroar, and it is a Assault Vest on Arcaldon. Let's go Terrifier Klangristle. And okay, they swap on Pelipper here, but we get to Super Fang Pelipper, and that breaks its Focus Sash. As now we get up Klangristle, and what does the opponent do? The opponent Electroshotted into Kamo, protecting a Terra there. Okay, we can just, or the Pelipper's not Wide Guard actually. But let's Aura Wheel the Pelipper and Clanging Scales as Pelipper protects. So we get to take out our Arcaldon. And Aura Wheel is going to launch the Pelipper, but it's not going to hit its target as we Hunger Switch back into being a Dark type. So now they swap in Incineroar, and it benefits the most here to... I mean, to beat Kamo, they have to like, swap in Rillaboom here for the Fake Out. So I'm going to Aura Wheel into Pelipper for as much damage as I can get, and I'm going to protect the Kamo. We Fake Out into Kamo, and we Aura Wheel with Pelipper, not doing as much damage as I would like to. Oh, and they Tailwind here. Okay. We Hunger Switched. We're
pretty fast. We might be faster than Pelipper, hard to say. Because of that Ore Wheel, I think we can just Ore Wheel into Pelipper. It is Terra Water. And let's go for the Clanging Scales. Nah, Pelipper's faster. Very speedy Pelipper. Okay, Ore Wheel into Pelipper at least takes it out. And they knock off into Morpeko. So Morpeko's gonna get the Hunger Switch. But now that we're in Tailwind, I feel fine introducing Ursaluna, and they introduced Primarina. Okay. So we didn't really need Combo to... Combo dying there is pretty fine, because now we have... It wouldn't have been beating Primarina in any dimension. So let's... Primarina might Haze here? They still have 2 turns of Tailwind left is the thing, though. What if we Super Fang into Incineroar, and then protect with Ursaluna? Because we also have Thunderbolt on... Porygon. We do Hyper Voice, and Morpeko's gonna go down as they get their Throat Spray, and we get to burn ourselves. We're not safety goggles on Incineroar. We get the attack boost though on our download. This is gonna be the last turn they're faster than us with Tailwind, and they can just knock off and Hyper Voice with Ursaluna into Ursaluna rather. I still think it benefits us the most though to try to go for damage into. Try to go for damage into Incineroar and then just Facade the Primarina. They do knock off into Ursaluna, and they Hyper Voice, and Ursaluna just doesn't live it. Thunderbolt just isn't doing enough damage and doing Incineroar without the boost. Knock off P2, and the Molest is going to KO because we no longer have their Eviolite. Alright. Okay, so how do we adapt now? I mean, I guess we saw that Pelipper was faster than us under Tailwind with Combo, or actually even faster than Morpeko. So what if we just did... What if we just did Porygon 2 Ursaluna lead, and then have Morpeko... Actually, Morpeko's speed was pretty crucial at the start. What if we get Morpeko and Kamo going, and then include P2, but this time we include Lilligant, who can more directly beat Incineroar. They lead Goldango and Incineroar. Okay. I'm not too afraid of Goldango. It's only Life Orb. It might Nasty Plot, though. I think I want the Aura Wheel damage into Goldango, and I'm going to try and go for Clangristle. They fake out Morpeko, which means Morpeko doesn't get to move as we Clangristle. So they are Terra Dragon on Goldango. We can Aura Wheel and I think safely just Terra Fire and Clanging Scales here. So that'll take out a lot. Let's try that. I hard swapped it in Primarina. Okay, they protected Goldango, so we used the Clanging Scales, but we at least didn't get the defense drop. But now we can Aura Wheel the Primarina, and the Primarina has to, I think, Terra to live, because we can just double into it with the Flamethrower. As they swap it in Incineroar to get attack drops and things, and Primarina protects, so now we're just playing the Fake Out Stall game, which is the most fun game. As, oh, you know what, actually, Primarina's probably just gonna Haze now that... Primarina's totally gonna Haze now that we can't hit it with Aura Wheel and Morpeko. Okay, so let's Super Fang and do what? I guess just let Kamo get hit by the Haze. They fake out a Morpeko actually. I guess we're not actually threatening anything, and they can just Hyper Voice. We're soundproof though with Kamo, which is nice. They get their Throat Spray, and this is where not having a grass type move on Lilligant really stinks. Swap in Lilligant and. Let's close combat into Incineroar. They could call it by just going in at Goldango though. Let's close combat Incineroar and Flamethrower Primarina again. I'm gonna call that they don't swap Goldango, because we could just put to sleep Primarina. They could tear grass though. They swap Pelipper here, which is making Primarina really hard to, and now Primarina hazes. Okay, let's triple Axle Pelipper, and I mean, there's nothing else that Kamo can really do here. We could maybe just close combat Primarina. It is kind of low. Let's close combat Primarina and just Clanging Scales with Kamo, since I think Kamo's dead. Close combat doesn't get to pick up KO with Clanging Scales, and that also doesn't KO Pelipper. Brilliant. Pelipper gets up the Tailwind, and they get to Moonblast into Primarina, and the game is kind of over now. I mean, it's not super over. We can still Trick Room here. I don't think it benefits me to Trick Room on this turn, though. The Trick Room is the most obvious answer here, right? What if we just Trick Room? The Hurricane into Kamo. Why aren't they Weather Balling into it? Do they not have Weather Ball? Let's stun. They should fake out Porygon 2 and then just Weather Ball into Kamo. There's nothing that I can do to stop that. Oh, they decided to protect Pelipper here, actually. They fake out Kamo. Okay, well, let's just Thunderbolt and Clanging Scales, I guess, because I had nothing better to do. Well, Dango swaps in to take the Thunderbolt, and Clanging Scales does damage to both. And Incineroar goes for the knockoff into P2. And what happens here? Oh, the knockoff just super crits it, or super gets rid of us because, oh, and they also crit P2, but I guess that doesn't matter at that point. But we lost Kamo there because of all the defense drops from the Clanging Scales, which is too bad. Okay, well, that was the lilli-koal team, and as you can see, it really struggles to beat Rain, because Rain is everywhere in this format, and it's super annoying. I mean, if anything, I felt like those games kind of showed how circumstantial more Pico can be in some places, even though I might change the moveset to maybe just always be electric-type move, because Aura Wheel's super circumstantial, even though it does give you the speed boost. And we didn't really use the parting shot. Maybe I would swap the parting shot out for something else. Maybe like an always dark move or always electric move. The Super Fang is very helpful though on this team, I will admit. But unfortunately, we just couldn't get lilli-koal up and running to do any lilli-koal things since we were mostly just facing Rain and other lilli-koal teams. And I feel like a lot of teams in this format are prepared for lilli-koal just because of how strong it is. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, maybe consider leaving a like on the video and even consider subscribing. We will have more lilli-koal teams in the future. It's just that this is the first one that I wanted to get out, and unfortunately, I feel like this is the first video where I really feel like I should have been more prepared, but I really don't have more time to prepare today, so this is just where I have to leave it. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.